For weeks now in Beijing, there hasn't been any point in getting up early. The only reason to do so is to check the latest number of new infections right after waking up.
Have you seen the figures? There are almost 45,000 confirmed cases of the illness.
I came to work in China as a journalist in 2007 and got married to Lulu from Beijing. We have one son and live in a housing complex in the north of the city. I travel around China a lot, making reports, but now I've been grounded.
Only Tibet is still okay.
Cordons have been erected around cities, but also around entire provinces, as well as city districts and even every housing complex. Outside my neighborhood block, uniformed men check everyone's comings and goings. The neighborhood committees are important cogs in the Communist Party's security apparatus, there to monitor residents' political and social behavior. Now they're functioning as health police. Temperature checks, enforced quarantines upon leaving the city, mandatory face masks. Beijing's residents have bit by bit disappeared from the face of the city, their movements curtailed by the regime and their own fear. The only report that I can make is one about standstill, a quarantine diary. The days seem uneventful, but they raise many questions about China's future. There's one good thing about the situation. Now that our family is together 24/7, we're more united than ever. I've even persuaded my son to help me. We have to fetch water. The tap water is undrinkable, so water containers are delivered on most days. But since our district was cordoned off, we have to collect them ourselves. My son is lucky because the barricade isn't very high. Since the outbreak of the virus, Lulu and I have been wearing his and hers fashion accessories, face masks. Mine black, hers white. Lulu is unhappy she can no longer wear lipstick. But since the quarantine started, the wearing of face masks has been strongly advised. Basically, if you leave the apartment without one, you'll be stopped. The remaining entry point to our district has become a checkpoint. You need a special pass to get in and out, and it's checked every time. Permission can be refused at any time. You might think it's 5 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon, but in fact, it's Friday afternoon. Normally, people would be going shopping now, and Beijing would look like this. It's nice to have a bit more space, but we're feeling a bit lonely. And what makes things worse is getting our temperature measured every 300 meters. But is it really such a good idea to be pressing these devices onto dozens of different people's wrists? The mall is almost empty too. Usually, we have to wait half an hour to get a coffee, but people don't feel like going out. At least there are a few young guys playing basketball, bringing a bit of life to the place. But I'm surprised they aren't wearing masks. At the moment, there's still disinfectant to clean our hands. But for how much longer? At the supermarket entrance, another checkpoint. At least there's a bit more life here. Since being in quarantine, cooking has become our main activity. The sight of these supermarket shelves is almost comforting, but only almost. We've all seen the images of empty shelves in the city of Wuhan on social media. The situation at the epicenter of the outbreak, where thousands are sick, is ever present. It's feeding a sense of collective anxiety. That's even though our situation is nothing like the one in Wuhan. In Beijing, there are only 100 official coronavirus cases. The capital is hermetically sealed off nonetheless. In the subway, I'm meeting Ms. Li, my interpreter. Before I even say hello, I already know her skin temperature, 32.1 degrees Celsius. All subway entrances are now fitted with infrared cameras. If your temperature tops 37.3 degrees, you're isolated behind a barricade and sent to the hospital. And of course, there's also someone checking for face masks in the subway. Not that there's much to check. Normally, the trains look like this. The real problem is the shortage of masks. Together with Ms. Li, I'm going to investigate the problem.
No, we're closed. Try there.
Here it says masks sold out. Hello, do you still have masks?
Only electric ones.
Can I look?
He only has a mask for 40 euros, which, of course, he offers us straight off.
Will it definitely guard against the virus?
Which virus do you mean?
The coronavirus, of course.
You have to change all the standard masks every 2 days to be on the safe side.
Every 2 days?
Yes, to ensure that you're protected against the virus. That isn't necessary with this electrical mask. It can be used for 2 months. No problem. 2 months.
What about the standard masks like yours? Could I have one like that?
No, I don't have any more. You're too late. They're sold out for today.
Should I try again tomorrow?
Yes, that's normally how it works. But get here early because we only get a limited number of masks. Everyone in the district knows that, so they arrive early and are prepared to wait in line. Everything linked to this outbreak is controlled by the government. It's rationing the amount of masks that we're allowed to sell. Could you stop filming, please? It'd be better if you didn't film this, okay?
I go to Tiananmen Square to see what it looks like in the heart of the city. The pavements are cordoned off. You can only get around the square by bike. On its north side is the Forbidden City. Everywhere there are police officers guarding the entrance to this huge palace complex turned museum. It has never been more forbidden than now. Just a few meters away, Zhongnanhai, the seat of the State Council and the Communist Party headquarters. The country's top leadership both lives and works behind this gate, cordoned off because of fear of the virus. It's impossible to stop here. I'm familiar now with the situation in my district and in the city center, but what about the working class districts on the outskirts of Beijing? Are they under the same quarantine? The companies are housing their workers in small single-room dormitories. In a model proletariat, no one would dare contradict the party. Mr. Chen is a chauffeur. I've hired him for a day to show me his district.
Anyone who wants to enter has to get registered. I'll go out and arrange it with them.
No one is allowed into the quarter without a pass. We try it using Mr. Chen's.
This is my pass for the quarter.
We aren't the only ones waiting. Everyone's being checked by the neighborhood committees. The Communist Party's security apparatus is omnipresent in the fight against the virus. The committees are the party's local arm. It's their job to enforce the quarantines in the affected districts. They issue the permits and inform authorities about anyone who is running a temperature or not wearing a mask. The neighborhood committees have grown since the beginning of the crisis. These people call themselves volunteers, united in the battle against the virus. But whether they've got an armband or not, they are in fact paid by the city authorities to ensure people stick by the rules. The checks are strict, and you can only leave the area for restricted hours. To our surprise, they allow us to proceed.
When the gates are closed, you can't get in, no matter what. Recently, I had to sleep in the car.
The streets and alleyways are empty here, too. It's not easy to find someone to interview. This man is the only one. He's venturing outside for the first time in 2 days.
I've got potatoes, noodles, garlic, tofu, and vegetables. I went shopping and needed to buy more than usual because there are 3 of us, and I'm the only one who leaves the apartment every 2 or 3 days. So, goodbye.
Back home, there's a surprise waiting for me. This is the first time I've seen an ambulance outside the entrance of our apartment block. And yet, no suspected cases have been reported. For our reassurance, we can see practically in real time whether or not there are sick people in our building. There are several apps that localize people who have the virus.
This blue dot is me. This is our building. Around it, the yellow buildings are ones where sick people are recorded as living. The darker the color, the more recent the case.
Every red dot is a coronavirus case. No one slips through the net in a society where everyone is tracked by shopping, going about their daily business, or via facial recognition.
I click here on the ill person to see where they've been. To a fruit dealer and a bistro. They're 2 or 3 kilometers away. We are here, and we're definitely not going to walk 3 kilometers to buy an apple, so it's fine. These new technologies make everyday life a lot easier. But they also create fear.
The apps show most of the sick as being in the center of Beijing. The main shopping drag, Wang Fujing, is dead. Usually, Beijing's equivalent of the Champs-Élysées is thronging with people out shopping or window shopping. But today, there are public health videos rather than ads playing on the electronic billboards. The food market in the middle of the street, where you used to be able to buy insect larvae and scorpions, is closed. There's a sign saying it's going to be renovated, but it doesn't say when. These are agonizingly long days for store and restaurant owners. Miss Zhang is in charge of the only open cafe around here. Today, I'm her only customer.
When the epidemic first broke out, we had to find a way of coping. We assumed the whole thing would probably go on for the first half of the year. I have a lot of friends in the restaurant trade, and we're all in the same situation. We're under a lot of pressure if our estimates are correct. We don't know when business is going to pick up again, and we're keeping a very close eye on developments. When things improve, we'll hear about it on the news. We keep calculating when we might have more guests again, based on the latest infection figures.
The city is sleeping, but we're going stir-crazy at home. So we decide to go out. It'll do us good. Because we can't be visited by anyone from outside and everything is closed, we pay a visit to our neighbor Gary. Up to now, we had only met on the parking lot.
Hey. Hello, sir. How are you doing? Hard time. Yeah, it's hard time. Have a seat.
The second-hand car dealer lives here with his wife and cat. For more than a month now, he has been sitting at home and twiddling his thumbs, like all of us. Since the start of the quarantine, he hasn't missed any of the news broadcasts on CCTV, Chinese state television.
In 2003, at the time of the SARS epidemic, I was in my third year at the university. I think people were less worried back then. People are far more worried than they were about SARS. People are saying that the mood is different because of WeChat. Fear is spreading because we're communicating with one another more due to social media. At the time of SARS, these platforms didn't exist. In 2003, the authorities in Beijing committed grave mistakes. They hushed things up, and that created big problems. But I believe they have made progress, and they've got the situation pretty much under control now. Maybe they tried to cover things up at first. I don't know.
Based on the information he hears from the government, Gary prefers to stay at home. Every evening, state TV shows images of the crisis, pictures of hospitals, patients, and above all, the military and medics working together in perfect coordination. And on the ground shots from cities where the state apparatus is naturally shown as intervening swiftly and efficiently, even cleaning the street with mops. The premier sets a good example. The message, everything is under control. As every day goes by, more people disappear from Beijing's streets. Normally, there's an almost constant flow of cars and consumers along this road. Today, nothing, just silence. This banner reads, "We are all united, and thanks to this trust and the scientific strategy of state leadership, this epidemic will be vanquished." The regime is obsessed by the concern that fear about the virus could spark social unrest or criticism of the leaders. The party seems more worried about that than about the coronavirus itself. People spreading information on social media can expect sanctions. Blogger Fang Bing was arrested at home by the police.
Who's there?
The police.
The police?
Yes, open up.
Why are there so many of you? Stop taking photos. Why are you here?
We're here because of you.
Where are you taking me? What do you want from me?
Come on, open the door.
First, I want to know where you're taking me.
Finally, the police broke the door down. Fang Bing hasn't been seen since. The blogger had been filming since the start of the crisis in Wuhan and posting his videos on social media. He ventured into hospitals, showed overflowing waiting rooms, dying patients, and doctors and nurses at breaking point. Unsanitized images. Hundreds of thousands of Chinese people had been following him online and watching how he openly denounced government inefficiency.
You'll get your punishment and pay for your deeds. All anti-communist forces must unite. Even if you arrest me, I am not afraid.
An unbearable affront to the regime. But this type of video managed to spread through social media before the government was able to intervene. So too did videos filmed by Chen Shuxi in Wuhan's hospitals. He showed sick people not being treated, desperate people who were not being attended to despite having had a fever for days.
Hello, this is Chen Shuxi. It's 11 a.m. on January the 30th.
This was his last video before he was quarantined.
I'm frightened. I have the virus before my eyes and state security breathing down my neck. but I'm not going to let that get me down. I'll carry on reporting in this city as long as I live, and I'll show what I see and hear. So go to hell. Does the communist regime think that I'm afraid?
Over the last few days, I've noticed a few posts on WeChat and Douban, the Chinese equivalent of Facebook and Twitter, that also challenged the official line. They were written by a blogger couple in Beijing. Accompanied by an interpreter, I visit them in their small city center apartment.
We haven't been outside for days, and we're just killing time.
Since the start of the crisis, there has been a rise in the number of citizen journalists in China trying to disseminate information to supplement the official version of events, a tentative breath of freedom. With limited means, the two bloggers wanted to spark a mini revolution after Dr. Li Wenliang died. The doctor from Wuhan was the first to try to warn the public about the new disease. He was arrested, but died after contracting the illness, and became a symbol for this absurd system that silences people to maintain the regime's stability.
When Dr. Li died, people were sad and angry. I wanted to honor him by getting as many people as possible to use a drawing of his face as their profile picture in social media, or to send posts with messages like, "It's no crime to express your opinion," or "Have a safe journey to paradise," a kind of online demonstration. 30 minutes after I had posted my call to action, thousands of users had changed their profile picture and shared my post. The internet police got wind of it and sent me a warning. The content you posted will be deleted as it could lead to unrest. If you refuse to cooperate, your account will be permanently deleted.
In China, everything functions via social media. Payment systems, communication, smart ticketing for public transport. If you don't have an account, you're down and out.
At first, Kai-Chen and Sanlian Life Week reported very actively on the situation. Then state television sent 300 reporters to Wuhan with the aim of steering public opinion and quashing other reports. The regime now rules with a hard hand.
The media has also been placed in quarantine. China's citizens are not just effectively incarcerated at home, they only have access to information permitted by the regime. The two bloggers are suffering the consequences.
So here we are, no internet. Our apps are no longer online.
The software tools that they use to dodge the censors and gain access to banned websites such as Twitter have also been blocked. Week 2 of our quarantine. The barricades at the entrances of our housing complex have now been reinforced with 2-meter-high green wire fencing. Though it's not as if anyone could have gotten through the cordon as it was. Every day is like the next. A never-ending stream of suppliers provides us with the essentials. But collecting the water containers is getting more and more difficult. We feel a little more locked in with every day that passes. Lulu rings her cousin to find out how her daughter is doing. The 7-year-old hasn't left the family apartment for several weeks now.
Wait, I'll get her. She's just getting dressed.
Her school is closed, of course. Remote learning is the order of the day.
How does it work with classes? Tell your aunt.
I sit down at the table and switch on the television. I learn my lessons there. And when I'm finished, the teacher gives me my homework.
Do you speak to one another via Skype like we are now?
No, it was like that at first. The teacher could see us. But now it's all on television. And the teacher can't see us anymore.
Lulu's cousin shows us what daily life is like for her daughter. Tong Tong is an only child. Her daily routine under quarantine is carefully planned. She gets up at 8 a.m., then it's time for breakfast. The rest of the morning is devoted to learning, and the day starts with an exercise class just like at school.
下面我们就可以用圆形来代替这15个小朋友。
2 days ago, we started having to pass through this large military tent. The monitoring system has become more tightly organized. The color of the passes now changed to reflect the number of sick people in the vicinity. Ours are pistachio green. No idea what that means. We film secretly using our mobile phones. Cameras are not welcome in the monitoring zones. Outside, it's worse than ever. The streets are almost empty. The only people we meet are either wearing a red armband or are there to take our temperature. It's so empty. The basketball players have disappeared too. The court is now closed until further notice.
Can I have my pass?
On our way back through the tent, we get stopped again.
How long have you had this pass?
Sorry?
And did you leave Beijing?
No.
You're going to get new passes. We'll make you 2 new ones. These are too old.
Why are we getting new ones?
Because they're better. They're valid longer.
Okay.
We only have 2 passes for 3 family members, and now they're white. Is that a good or a bad sign? I have no idea, but we don't complain. Others have only got 1 pass and are only allowed to leave their homes every 2 or 3 days. Week 4 of the quarantine. The barricade's now too high to pass over any water containers.